The place, Boston, Massachusetts colony. The date, March 5, 1770. The occasion, the Boston Massacre. Tensions ran high in Boston on the frigid, snowy evening of March 5, 1770. More than 2,000 British soldiers occupied the city of 16,000 colonists, and only a few weeks earlier, 11-year-old Christopher Sider had been killed when Customs Officer Ebenezer Richardson fired his gun through the window of his home as he tried to break up a rock-pelting crowd. On this night, as he stood as the only soldier guarding the king's money stored inside the Custom House on King Street, Private Hugh White was confronted by a group of colonists. At some point, he fought back and struck a colonist with his bayonet. In retaliation, colonists pelted him with snowballs, ice, and stones. Bells started ringing throughout the town, usually a warning of fire, sending a mass of male colonists into the streets. As the assault continued, White fell and called for reinforcements. Fearing mass riots and the loss of the king's money, Captain Thomas Preston arrived on the scene with several soldiers and took up a defensive position in front of the Custom House. But the violence did not stop. It escalated as colonists struck the soldiers with clubs and sticks. Reports differ on exactly what happened next, but after someone supposedly said the word fire, a soldier fired his gun, although it's unclear if the discharge was intentional. Once the first shot rang out, other soldiers opened fire, killing 5 colonists and wounding 6. The dead included Crispus Attucks, a local dock worker of mixed racial heritage; Samuel Gray, a rope maker who was left with a hole the size of a fist in his head; sailor James Caldwell, who was hit twice before dying; and Samuel Maverick and Patrick Carr. Within hours, Preston and his soldiers were arrested, but their trial would not be held until 7 months later. During that time, Sons of Liberty leaders such as John Hancock and Samuel Adams incited colonists to keep fighting the British. Paul Revere encouraged anti-British attitudes by etching a now famous engraving depicting British soldiers callously murdering American colonists, even though the colonists had started the fight. Captain Preston's account of the incident was drowned out. In September, Preston and the other soldiers involved were finally brought to trial. Wanting to make sure they received a fair trial, lawyer and future U.S. President John Adams defended them. 2 soldiers were found guilty of manslaughter and branded on their thumbs as first offenders, per English law. Preston and the other soldiers were found not guilty of murder. The massacre, known in Great Britain as the Incident on King Street, was just the beginning of an intense period in the colonies that over the next few years would include the Boston Tea Party, the battles of Lexington and Concord, and ultimately the announcement of the Declaration of Independence.